routing protocols dictate what the paths in the network are, and these paths are critical because they will actually impact the application performance. And when an application is performing versus not performing too well, basically it is a change in the routing protocol that actually sets up different paths. So what we do with route analytics, we collect a lot of routing data that could be BGP, IGPs, traffic engineered tunnels, multicast, whatever the network is running. And then we analyze this data for certain patterns, certain issues. For example, we can monitor a path of an application when it changes and the new performance is not good, we can send an alert. And basically using this data to make service-aware business decisions. And for example, we may be taking down a router tonight. We can actually model that using the routing protocols and see which services will be impacted by that, so that if you need to warn your customers and so forth about that, you can have a predictive nature of what will happen when you do that maintenance tonight. One thing that is common across different networks and across different set of routing protocols and so forth, how difficult it is to figure out how the network is going to behave under failures. When we design a network, we assume we have these routers, we have these links, there is this much capacity, we know the network when everything is up. But under failures, that network behaves extremely differently. And I'm not just talking about congestion, which also kicks in, but these protocols interact in a very unforeseen ways. And then you may actually have routing loops, you may actually have black holing that all creeps in during these times, because it's extremely difficult to figure out all these combinations of failures and the vendor implementations and how they will react with each other. Yesterday, actually, in my presentation, I gave a great example of that. One router goes down, and there is 7 exit points to the same service provider. And instead of taking down just that particular connection to the next service provider, it actually takes down the whole 6 other locations along with the 2. And that's about the really difficult interaction between BGP and IGP. It's not a vendor bug, it's not a protocol bug, it's more like a network design issue. And it's really extremely hard to figure out how to design networks under failures. I think that's the common theme that I keep seeing. With the SDN, the biggest challenge that I see, the promise of SDN is the programmability, which means instead of the operator, the human, software is going to decide what paths to take, what to provision in the network, and applications will come and then change the network, which means the human, the operator, is kept out of the loop in a way. If the network is not behaving the way it's supposed to behave, it's not that somebody changed the configuration, it's a software that changed the configuration. When it works, this is great, but when it is broken, where do you start diagnosis? Because you have no recollection of what has happened. So what we need with the SDN is analytics to actually help with these issues. And the second part of the SDN, the challenge in the SDN is now that the software is making the changes, what governs that these changes are good? So to do that, you must basically collect the topology information. You can use the controller, you can use the IP address control plane for that. And then you must have traffic matrices. And when an application says, I want to transfer, for example, the soccer World Cup game from Brazil all the way to, let's say, Sydney, Australia, and you need to be able to make the same analysis an engineer would have made to see that there is sufficient capacity in the network. And if there isn't, maybe perhaps change the metrics or the path, set up a different path. And all of this needs to actually involve analytics so that the same level of intelligence can be done by the software. That's why I believe that route analytics actually provides the foundation for this, basically this orchestration.